So let's turn to the International Criminal Court. And Mamdani wants to enforce its laws in New York City. When Bibi Netanyahu shows up, he says he's going to arrest him because they have a warrant out for Bibi for war crimes and crimes against humanity. I want to just note one thing about those war crimes. They are starvation as a method of warfare. They've been accusing the Israelis of stealing or subverting supplies that are supposed to go to Gazans. And we just had the UN admit that, in fact, it is Hamas doing that. So I'm not sure why we haven't seen war crimes against
I'm really surprised. I know people are going to be shocked by this, but Mondami with that socialist smile and that oozy, unctuous personality, I thought he wouldn't be so stupid to admit that he's an absolute anti-Semite and hates Israel, because any person who listened to his video and read what he wrote, the first question is, okay, you have a policy that anybody that you think in your infinite wisdom committed genocide can't come into your city. He said, you can't come into our city. It's not your city. You're an interloper. You had about 11% of the resident population vote for you, and it's not your city. I'm sorry. You may think it is. You're the mayor for a while, but it's not your city. And then the question everybody has is, though, I know our listeners are saying, well, of course, when the Palestinians come in, because they aided and abetted Hamas in many cases, you're going to arrest them, given October 7th. You're going to arrest the Iranian delegation because they were responsible, that government, for killing 40 to 50,000 of their own well after Gaza. Oh, wait a minute. You're not going to do that because members of your staff were secretly planning to meet with them as a friendly little chat. Are you going to go after the Pakistani government because they have they've killed a lot of people, a lot of people. They also had bin Laden harboring the world's greatest terrorist on their own territory and protected him. Or are you going to go after the Chinese government? They've got 1 million people in a re-education, I shouldn't say that, in a labor camp, concentration camp. You're going to go after the Muslim Azerbaijanis because they ethnically cleansed Nagorno-Karabakh, the Armenian 1,000-year enclave in Azerbaijan? No, you're not going to do any of that because you're an anti-Semite and you only want to focus on Jews. And so he looks, and then he I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but most of our listeners aren't a lawyer, but they all know that a mayor in charge of the boroughs of New York can't enforce federal law that says what? What is federal law? What federal law is? Take a pause. Mondami, there is a statute that we've signed on to that says that people who come to the UN that are authentic, genuine diplomats cannot be arrested by the United States. You understand that? They cannot be. Number two, do you really think the International Criminal Court has any jurisdictions? We're not a signee to that court. They have zero jurisdiction. Did you know that the head of the International Criminal Court was just fired for sexual harassment? It's a corrupt organization. Don't you understand that? It has no authority in the United States. You have no authority to interfere with federal law. And I have a feeling that if all of that didn't stop you and you went ahead and you called up the chief of police, she was standing right by him and said, go get NYPD and cut off the Israeli motorcade, and we're going to put him in Rikers until we formally charge him. They wouldn't do it. And so he knows that.
Did you notice that Rubio took the opportunity to say, not only do we everything you said about the International Court, but we want to dismantle the International Criminal Court?
I hope so. I hope they don't have you. We shouldn't give a dime to the UN. We should get the UN. They always give these platitude speeches. And then their diplomats, for the first and only time in their life, in the case of about 90 countries, come over here and they vote. They vote in the General Assembly on resolutions, half of which until recently were just about condemning Israel. And you think, well, if you don't vote in Somali and you don't vote in Egypt and you don't vote in, I don't know, you don't have a fair vote in Uganda till recently, why would you vote over here? And what would that mean? The first time in your life you live it up, and they're always getting caught for not paying parking tickets, speeding because they have exemption. And they're always giving lectures to us about the global South versus the global North, that people of color. I've said that in print twice. Why don't we take the UN? We don't have to fund it. We just say to them, go to take your pick. You could put it in Cambodia. You could put it in Peru. You could put it in Nigeria. And there would be among the people of the world. And you wouldn't have to see those awful Americans anymore. And they won't do it because they won't be, after they make some denunciation of Israel on the floor of the Security Council or the General Assembly, they won't 3 hours later walk down the street to NPR and be told, well, why did you say that speech, Ambassador Kintawata? Well, and that's what they love. They love all the global media. They love the restaurants. They love the hotels. They love the Western lifestyle that they hang out all night at. And then they trash the United States during the day. And it's just so boring. Just go away. You know what I mean? I just say
Yeah.
go away. I was the biggest supporter of legal immigration. I still am. But this latest iteration of all these people coming in here from third world countries, and whether it's the illegal 40,000 illegal truck drivers, those are illegal, and or it's people like Kuros or uh, Chevalier or Talib, their parents, first or second generation, or Mandami or Pike, and they all lecture us about how awful we are. It just, if you ask them anything about U.S. history, what are the Articles of Confederation that prompted the need for the Constitution? Who was the general at the Battle of New Orleans? Why did the North win? They don't care. All they do is it's so funny to see these people who I think it was Kuros was telling us, what was she saying? That it was going to be more people from the global South?
She was suggesting that in Congress, they needed to elect more representatives from the global South to fight the global world order as it stands today, i.e., against
What does that
capitalism.
mean?
That means they want to fight against
Or is
or
that people of
challenge. She
does she
didn't say,
think peaceful
but she
people
said
of
challenge.
color?
Yes, I suppose
We
she
have
would
over
put it
50
that
people,
way.
I think, in the Black caucus. It's
Yes.
greater than the percentage of the demography of the Black population in the general population.
Maybe she thinks that the global South would understand the importance of
Can you imagine if
anti-Americanism and
some person got up and
anti-capitalism.
can you imagine if Rand Paul or Josh Hawley or somebody, I think we have a problem. We don't have enough people from the global North. We haven't had representative immigration from Europe in years, not since 1965. Europeans were 90% of the country at its founding, and we have been systematically prejudicial. So we want more global North people in this. Well, racist, right? It's so tribal, it's so boring too.